The 22nd ranked Miami Hurricanes improved to 3-0 on the season with a 48-7 win over the Bethune-Cookman Wildcats. I don't want to get too detailed in this video with my takeaways, but simply put, Miami did exactly what they're expected to do and what they should do against a level of competition like Bethune-Cookman, which was just basically stay in control. There was no threat of an upset today. Miami scored essentially how they wanted to. They did a great job with the balance. The rushing numbers looked great. The passing efficiency was very good. You know, Tyler Van Dyke only played the first half, but he led them all the time up and down the field, 19-23 for 247 yards and 2 touchdowns, had the rushing score. He was certainly happy about that. He said it's the only second score of his career and basically just read the end and got in the end zone for a 10-yard score to kind of start off this route. And I thought the first team offense, again, this isn't the magnitude of what they faced last week, but I think for the most part they did a good job. You know, I think you can nitpick a few things here and there, but look, the offense stayed in control. I think it was great to see the running backs put up some good numbers once again. It looks like 3 games in, and I know last year they had success 3 games in with their rushing totals, but it looks like, again, the rushing totals look good so far, and they did again tonight. Running backs, I definitely want to note this, that Don Chaney Jr. was able to get in there, and he looked good. He led the team in rushing. He got in the end zone, which is always important in games like this. You know, Mark Fletcher was out. We got to see Chris Johnson for the first time reel off a 21-yard touchdown, and Chaney said that he felt like Chris it really meant a lot to him to be able to score like that. And all the guys, and that's something you notice with this team so far, just a few games into it, that they tend to root for each other. They tend to be pulling for each other with each other's success. And I think there is competition. They did speak about that even more, like we've been hearing throughout fall camp and spring ball. There's competition amongst each position group, but also that they are rooting for each other. So I find it to be an interesting balance with what we've seen so far in the season. Look, I don't think, regardless of today, but I don't think this can be overstated. 3-0 at home for Miami out of the gate. 3 straight home games, and Miami certainly struggled there a year ago. So it was a point of emphasis in the offseason after going 2-5 at home last year, losing their last 5 home games. So to get this thing started off in a positive note, especially with the win over Texas A&M, certainly that's a big one moving forward, but 3-0. So they're going to go to Temple next week. First road game. Temple's been struggling a little bit. You're expecting a big win for Miami, and then they'll have a week off before ACC play. So Miami's not going to, and that's going to be Georgia Tech here at Hard Rock. So Miami's not going to be back home for 3 weeks, and October 7th is that game. So the way the schedule, if you haven't seen it, it's 4 games in September, 4 in October, 4 in November, the way it shakes out. So it's interesting, and it's certainly a good start for Miami. So again, a big passing performance by Tyler Van Dyke. Also, Emory Williams comes in, 9 of 11, over 100 yards. We did not see Jakari Brown tonight, but Emory Williams looked good and threw the ball on the money most of the night, did a good job. He got in a little bit there with the first team offensive line there to start the third quarter, and then he was primarily working with the 2s and 3s the rest of the way, but you know, he did a good job with the placement. Going back to that first team offense, and Tyler Van Dyke, he said it after the game, just feels really comfortable. Feel like this is the best he's been. So that's great to hear, because I know a lot of people look at that 21 season, the way it ended and how good those numbers were. But if he feels like he can do even better than that, that would be certainly a big sign for Miami, big encouraging sign for things to come, and certainly a great start for Tyler, the offense so far this season. Obviously, they want to continue it. Another guy that's off to a really good start is Xavier Restrepo, and you saw tonight the things he's able to do. Again, 120 yards, 6 catches, so he's making plays downfield. One of the things that's really impressive with Xavier is his ability to make contested catches for being a smaller receiver. So he's definitely has a stocky build, but he's not the tallest guy that you typically see make contested catches like the bigger receivers, and he's finding ways to wrestle balls out of the defender's hands. You saw it again tonight. Another thing that I noticed with Xavier that I think he's been doing a really good job of is just his acceleration within the route. He doesn't wait to get the ball to accelerate and make plays. He does a good job of getting off to a good start with his route, but also accelerating on these routes, especially these crossing routes. And that's why, one of the reasons why you're seeing him so open and he's making those catches and really, you know, taking hold of those opportunities. So it's great to see Xavier after what he went through last year. We talked about so much with Tyler, the injuries that he had. Xavier dealt with injuries. He did come back in the year, but he definitely wasn't as productive later last year, and this year he's just off to a great start. Another receiver off to a great start that dealt with an injury last year was Jacoby George. Got in the end zone again tonight. That's a good sign. Tyler was asked about Jacoby in the press conference, and just feels like this is a guy that is certainly confidence is there, but also just his approach. He really likes his mindset, the way he's approaching this season. So Jacoby George, we had this question if he was going to be due for a breakout season, and certainly it looks that way. He's getting into the end zone. Another guy that got in the end zone, which was good to see, Brashard Smith. I touched on it on an article this week about the offense, how he got in there with the kick return, but coming into this game, he only had 1 catch for 0 yards. Tonight he gets in the end zone with a score, had 3 catches. That was great to see for Brashard. Again, these guys are building confidence early in the year. And regardless of the sport, you always want to have that early season success, so you're not behind the 8 ball and not, really worried about getting off to into a slump. And a lot of these guys are getting off to good starts, and hopefully, for their sake, they can, and the team's sake, that they can just kind of continue this wave and feeling good about themselves. Defensively, look, they held Bethune under 100 yards for most of the game. Bethune does get some big plays with the reserves in. But Jaden Harris stepped in for Cam Kitchens, and they're at the safety spot. Didn't know if they were going to go Jaden Harris or if they were going to go with the cornerback and Jaden Davis, slide him over. That was discussed by Lance Guidry. But Jaden Harris and Cristobal said he felt like he played good today. So that's a good sign if he feels like he played good in terms of moving forward if Kitchens continues to miss time. Speaking of injuries, tonight was the first night that I was able to be on the field before the game started to watch pregame warmups. I wasn't down here the first 2 games because of the weather, dealing with my camera stuff, but tonight it was great being back on the field and just kind of seeing the guys kind of go about it, their pregame warm-ups, just when they first come out, going through some things. And one of the things I was able to see was some injury stuff. I think Akeem Mesidor was the biggest one to notice. He just has, he's got this sandal on his left foot with the injury, walking with the limp, and then his right foot he had a shoe on. So certainly he's dealing with something on his left foot. But limping and walking around, we'll see. There's been no prognosis, nothing reported in terms of how long he's going to be out for. And so certainly we'll see. Other guys that were out on the defensive line, which gave other opportunities to other guys, but Nigel Kelly didn't suit up tonight. Same way with Branson Dean. I would expect those 2 guys, we'll see, just kind of guessing that they could be back soon. But who knows? Again, we'll be, providing as much information as we can, as much information as we get on the website, so definitely tune in over there. Again, certainly it was good to see some guys make plays on defense. Again, Bethune couldn't do much. The big fumble, I thought the caused fumble by Francisco Marino was great. Did a really good job of getting his head on the ball and knocking the ball loose. So that was good to see from the defense. Again, just really controlled it. Didn't let much up at all, like I said, until the end. One thing that obviously needs to be corrected is punt returns. Certainly that's an issue right now, and they're going to work on it. Special teams sometimes can struggle early in the year because you're not able to replicate that as much as you can with the offense and defense, but you're not able to replicate that in practice as much as you would like. But certainly it's a point of emphasis. I was down here, like I said, pregame, watching the guys field some punts. Some other guys that haven't got opportunities, a guy like Takori Couch, maybe a guy that you don't expect, but he was fielding some kicks, some punts there before the game. So maybe he's an option. If they want to veer off at Restrepo and Jacoby George, who've had their issues so far, they could obviously go to a different route there. We'll see. Maybe Ray Joseph is a guy, a freshman there that hasn't gotten off to a big start yet to his freshman season, but maybe you get him going in punt return. So maybe you just find somebody else, or just continue to work with Jacoby and Xavier and see how things work. But obviously fielding the ball inside the 10 or the 5, whatever it might be, that's one of the issues in addition to fielding punts correctly and making sure you're not dropping the ball. So this team can still get better, obviously, but with where they're at right now, 3-0, it's exactly what you wanted to happen, and exactly, with what they wanted to do against a team like Texas A&M. So a good start. Obviously, Miami has to continue to grow, continue to get better. They go on the road now, so we'll see. And then ACC play gets going with Georgia Tech and North Carolina coming up. So thanks again for watching. It wasn't a long recap. These games are just always so difficult to really dive into, but really Miami, like I said, they did everything they were supposed to do, and you saw the talent difference between a lot of the players. So that's what you want to see. You want to see that separation in games like this, and tonight we absolutely saw that. So thanks again for watching. Hope you have a good rest of the weekend. Enjoy the college football. I will absolutely be tuned into that North Carolina game. Can't wait to watch that on Saturday. So we'll talk more about that and everything else on InsideTheU.com. Thanks for tuning in, and take care.